naye buno bukolekana akasusu akakabu buno
Thank you, Chair. Chair, mine is a field experience. I personally enrolled from Kasanga Town Council. And I found the machinery, NIDA officials, they served me well. It was very fast. The challenge I've got is now from the voters. When the exercise was originated, it was at the town council. And now I've heard they are moving parish to parish, probably to reduce distance. Machazit is still bigger because we have villages, they are still at parishes. But the challenging experience I've seen, I've received some of our people coming to me requesting for money that you need 10,000 to line up for the enrollment exercise, especially when they are at the parish levels. Does it need a charge? If there are people defrauding our people, who are those and are you aware? What have you done? Number two, those who go to these enrollment centers and have issues of change of names, they are not being assisted. Where should they go? And at what level would they be assisted or enrolled? Because I've received so many of our people from Chadondo East complaining that they had issues of change of names, but they can't be handled in the field, and they're denying them enrollment, even if they come with an ID. And number three is the misleading information from some NIRA officials. From a number of the victims who are telling me they are pursuing change of names, they are equally telling me that it is the NIRA officials who told them to indicate even past names. And when they indicated them, they found them indicated on their IDs, whereas those are not the names they are using. Which empowerment do you give in selecting the people you send in the field? And how can people be assisted, especially those of change of names? And lastly, the chair, on the issue of issuance, we are waiting, and it's coming to even election time. We hear that NIRA might be in connivance with the ruling party to rig elections in the guise of electronic systems, failure to update and to ensure that people are given their national IDs on time. Please, what explanation are you giving us that NIRA is not associated with any intent to deny voters eligibility? When and how are you going to issue these IDs? Because we need them. It's not enough to narrate that we have 1 million printed. Where are they?
Okay, thank you very much. I do not think it is in order to speculate and to assume bad faith on the part of a witness that appears before us, especially in matters where we cannot prove empirically or even scientifically that there is an intention to collude with those that intend to rig elections. One thing I know is that the culture of rigging elections exists in Uganda, but we would not want to discredit institutions that come before us. It would be very unfair. So to that extent, we shall expunge that reference to the insinuation. I sustain the question of when are you going to give Ugandans their national IDs? And two, why does it take that long? Those are valid questions which we must give the witness an opportunity to answer. But she will not start from a point of being discredited. I so guide. Buzale?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to begin by thanking you for the guidance you've given. Although, Chair, my concerns are very simple. What could have been the rationale of upgrading your national ID? Were there cases of forgery? That was your basis? Because, Mr. Chairman, I find this exercise very expensive for Ugandans. because I'm looking at the budget cost, which was 300 billion. That is the initial budget. I don't know whether it's going to go for how long for you to complete this exercise, or that money was only for 1 year or for the entire exercise until everyone is actually registered. So, Mr. Chairman, we need to get to know the rationale of having this exercise.
Finally, Deputy Chair.
Chair, Madam Chisembo, according to people outside Uganda, you gave them an option of registering online. But these people, they are facing a challenge of your system requiring a letter from the chairperson of the LOC1. I thought that you could just ask for, the system could ask for the location of that
Is
person.
that for renewal or fresh registration?
Fresh registration and renewal.
Even renewal?
Online, because
Okay.
I got a complaint from Nakaseka Central for those people who are in Dubai, who are in Abu Dhabi. When they're registering online, they are being asked to provide a letter from the LOC1 chairperson, and they couldn't access it. So I think you can clarify on that.
Maybe they meant the LC chairperson of Abu Dhabi. I think we will now give an opportunity to the witness to answer uninterrupted.
I will first dispense of the question in diaspora. In diaspora, even if you checked on our website, you're only required to present a letter from our embassy so that we can know you're a bona fide Ugandan. We do not require you to present a letter from the LC1.
Why would you require that proof? By the very fact that someone has a Ugandan passport upon which he traveled. Maybe passport is not your control, it is another directorate.
It is that many people
But you
out
have
of the country
integrated systems.
have expired passports.
Oh, okay. Yeah, even when it expires, it has existed. You
It
have
is
that
true.
one in your database.
It is true,
Do
but
they cease to be Ugandans?
they do not cease to be Ugandans, but it's not very easy for us to validate or support an expired document.
Even when you issued it?
We could have issued it, but we do not. It is prudent that for our citizens who are out of our country to be living peacefully within other jurisdictions with the right documents.
Yeah, but the question is, then what do you expect to be the basis for the embassy?
So in the embassy, when they come to the embassy, in the event that their passports have expired, they will be renewed. It is one of the services that they are supposed to receive. As a Ugandan citizen, they have a right to come to their embassy anytime and all the time to receive all services relating to citizenship.
Okay.
So in for that country, they recognize.
Gaffer, you were trying to...
Yes. Chair, two things. All our passports have our names.
Not, it's the new one since 2022.
Yes. So if it is that, then someone wants to renew the ID online. Now, that is one. Number two is that you assume that all Ugandans out of this country are in jurisdictions where we have embassies. But that's not the case. There are people in countries where we don't have embassies, and therefore they cannot access those offices. So what is there for them? For them also to have the services that you're offering.
Supposing the embassy also says, before you come to renew your passport,
Bring your
come with
ID.
a national ID. Because even here, before you get a passport, they ask for your national ID.
The embassies, even if a country doesn't have an embassy, each country has an embassy to which they can, refer the consulates.
Expect this Ugandan in one country which doesn't have an embassy and which does not have any consular service to travel to that country which is supervising, okay, and then be able to access consular services there before getting there.
We don't ask them to travel. We can give us an email. They can give us a copy of an email or a communication, because even what we eventually pick from them is a document. So that document can be an email, it can be a letter.
Is that clear in your
It is
system?
very clear. It is categorically clear.
And Chair,
you know he's the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Chair, as a shadow minister
in the next government.
As a shadow minister, I'm privy to information that the embassies have not ably supported Ugandans, especially in line with those recommendations you so require. Why would we need to put abnormal requirements? If someone has an old ID or a passport, whether old or a new one, why wouldn't you support these Ugandans? Because most of these embassies are even reluctant to issue letters.
Now that's a judgment that the requirement is odd.
She confessed she confessed that they need a letter.
That's true.
From embassies. Embassies are not issuing those letters, and should not be a basis to deny Ugandans.
Honorable Madam Kunyinji, I do not think that is also okay. For you to blanketly say they do not issue those letters.
She's aware. She's aware that.
Madam Chisembo, are you aware that
I'm sorry, sir, I'm not aware.
Do you have examples of cases where embassies have issued these letters?
Yes, I do.
Share
Our
with
teams,
us.
as I speak.
Just share with us a
I
few
will,
samples.
sir.
Chair,
I will, sir.
Chair, for your information, the embassies, under diaspora engagements, normally have a group they relate with, a smaller group they call Ugandans in the diaspora. But it does not constitute all the Ugandans in the diaspora.
Certainly
and
not.
They are very reluctant to support those who are not closer to the embassy, even if they have national IDs. And they shouldn't be denied, neither shouldn't go into the politics of how embassies operate and how ambassadors are appointed. Some have become political.
No.
So
I
neither
think
should be supportive.
Honorable Mwadanku Nyinji, let's concentrate on the propriety or otherwise of the requirements. That's number one. Number two, let us also not demonize embassies as if they really do nothing to help Ugandans. For us, we can only point out that the alternatives you are providing for are not sufficient and suggest it may also not be proper to tell an agency that has appeared before Parliament, mark the word, Parliament, that just issue IDs anyway. Because this ID may be used by somebody to do something else, which may not be good. Our emphasis, Rosemary, should be that we look at integration. If we are satisfied from our internal consultations.
Chair, just for information, the embassies are not recommending opposition, Ugandans belonging to opposition in the diaspora. They are denying them most of these facilities. And that's why we are now cautioning neither.
I am opposed to this government. Day and night. Listen.
And I'm a shadow minister.
Yes,
with information.
Day and night. And for almost my entire life, adult life. Yes, for almost my entire life. The point you are making is so legitimate. But we cannot use...
Nemwe, Ssegona oba yalya. Engeri gy'awolereza gavumenti, gy'awolereza nnira. Alinga wa nnira. Gwe, kiri wano.
Your evidence on the microphone, that is at the bar, as you and I know. I would be very, very appreciative if we got those complaints. We laid them before the witnesses. In which case we would require the presence of the Foreign Affairs Minister or Ministry to come and explain such a thing. But it is unfair to the embassies, first of all, blanketly, to refer to them as hostile to those of us in the opposition. It would even worry me when I travel out of the country that I would even fear to go to those embassies because I've received a statement to that effect. As Minister for Foreign Affairs, my advice would be get the complaints of those that have been denied services. One, denied services, probably two, on account of their political leanings. I will not blanketly entertain a statement that embassies are hostile to us. You know the rules that I will not treat it as evidence. Thirdly, you're addressing a very good question to the wrong people. These people have no business with how embassies conduct their business. But if we received some evidence, however small and minute, we would require the presence of the Minister of Foreign Affairs or Ministry of Foreign Affairs, probably with the ambassador or ambassadorial staff in question. Please answer the questions that I have not overruled. No, you are switching off the microphone. Don't escape from the jurisdiction.
No, sir. On the question of why is there an expiry date, the first in section 69 of our Act, but also it is further, anchored by science. Card is a plastic material with embedded security features, who by reason of time, the features deteriorate. Notwithstanding, I will join that question with a rationale. The mass enrollment and renew exercise seeks to register more new Ugandans than renew cards. We have 17.2 million new Ugandans to register.
They are not new Ugandans.
Okay, new registrations to carry out.
17.2
million compared to the 15.8 million renewals. On the question of voters, and I think the voting entity is the Electoral Commission. They've systematically come, I think 20th January, they began the process of updating the register, the searching of the register, and at no time did they hinge that to a national ID. They looked for eligible voters, they gave them criteria, and there was nobody who was disenfranchised.
Yes. Was there any consultations between NERA and the EC?
Correct. There are always consultations between NERA and EC.
To what effect? And
To
what is your contribution to the generation of the register?
The law defines a person who can vote as being a citizen above the age of 18. The register in NERA is used to verify, one, who is a citizen, and two, who is above the age of 18. So on a continuous basis, we interact on who is a citizen who is above the age of 18 and who may have changed their names.
When we were enacting the Registration of Persons Act, I remember there was a huge debate on the role of your register, which is the National Register. And one of the things that was that actually the Electoral Commission, like many other agencies, would use your register as the raw material.
It does use it as a raw material. However, there are aspects of that register that are required to be obtained in real time by the Electoral Commission.
Yes.
So we are the starting point.
Yes.
They obtain the register of citizens above the age of 18. And what they told us about the residents and their polling stations. However, they are required by law to update this information continuously to the benefit of citizens.
Actually, not to update that information. They only update their register.
Yes.
That upon getting the raw material from you, they constitute it into a register. Then the updating begins from there.
They update the particulars that change about a person. For example, they may have shifted and they need to update some.
Right.
With regard to distribution, we have shipped out cards and the distribution has started. With regard to
the distribution, that's a bullet statement. The members need to know.
Okay, we have shipped out cards to 146 districts.
Okay.
The ones that we have so far printed. Of course, Kampala has higher numbers than any other district, but every district has received a certain number of cards for distribution.
Honorable Mwadankunyinji, since you did the renewal from Kasangati,
from Kasangati Town Council headquarters.
You pick yours from Kasangati.
I was there. There was no ID. I don't know if the ID is updated. That they are not there. Where are they?
Okay, Madam Chisembo, why has the member not received his?
Tomorrow, I will provide to this committee the information from couriers who we have used to distribute these cards countrywide for avoidance of doubt.
Chair, wouldn't it be fitting that the executive director also talks about decentralization of inquiries? Just why do I move from Kasese to Kololo to Ingwaya? What is her strategy?
Sir, we are present to date. We have been present in at least 7,239 parishes in the last 12 weeks. It is not correct to say that people come for inquiries to Kololo. Even the buses in this country, we've registered 8 million people. We have not recorded 8 million people in Kampala for renewal.
I answered about inquiries.
So it is not correct to say that all people come to Kampala for renewal.
No, for inquiries.
Chair, maybe we should not simplify our concern with the word inquiries. My colleague had said people move from Ulambuli to come to Kololo. It is equivalent to coming from Songora South to Kololo. If I need to collect or anything, I have fulfilled everything. Why can't I get my card from my district?
Sir, you will get it in your district. I said tomorrow I will bring Nation Courier and DHL that have taken cards to the districts.
Yes,
so the cards have been taken to the districts. They are not going to be picked from Kololo.
Chair, the situation is even more worrying because so far, out of the 43 million Ugandans, maybe say 20, only 6 have received their national IDs. What if the rest are not interested in this renewal? And it's very a serious matter. It has constitutional implications.
you don't just own an ID for your...
For those that are not interested,
No, but Chair,
what do you want them to
a
do?
national ID is not an issue of interest. It's not. When you look
Honorable
at...
Swami,
should-
that's a good question. That's a
So,
good issue you're raising.
That's what I'm... Yes, sorry.
But the question is, did you make it compulsory under the law? And what are the sanctions for not obtaining or for being disinterested?
Maybe that's why you want to get from this...
For her, she deals with people who go to her and apply.
But Chair,
She rolls out a program, communicates it to the people. And that's what the law requires her to do. I think there are two
there was
things.
a very big oversight.
Both of us,
which
we both have a role to play.
Yes.
We as parliament
Exactly.
and we as citizens.
No, citizens, Chair, we are always there. First of all, for them, they do appreciate they have to be identified. But it's not an issue. Tobarabara, you don't have to count my kids, etc. That feeling. Now that we know it's a vital tool we need for development, and we did not envisage that when we were making the law, we want to get something from the technical officers, which we can send in our report, because only 6 million maybe are
Actually,
interested.
the blame that would go
It's-
to
it's-
these people, even during the enrollment exercise that I've seen, is one, inadequate materials. Two, if we are talking about inadequate training for people who use these machines and the time provided. But I understand that registration across the country is a continuing business. At the sub-counties, they cannot make it continuous at the parish level. Because unless we are ready to give them that money, if you have the money, I am concerned about those who travel from Bulambuli or Busongola to come to Kampala. But from what she says, I think it is also a question of how our people appreciate these things. No, there are those who go there and maybe at the parish or sub-county, the officers there are clueless. They give you all manner of excuses. I remember sending some people to go and obtain a death certificate. When they arrived at a particular station, they told them, bring an original national ID of the deceased. I mean, there could be some of those isolated cases. And I called her, I said, so why don't you instead, you're the one who issued the national ID, so you have all the particulars. Why don't you call the deceased? I said it comically and told her, why don't you call the deceased to tell you where he left the national ID? But for somebody who has come with a short death certificate from hospital, you tell me bring the original national ID of the deceased. Now, those are isolated cases. That's why I did not bring them here. So, Ugandans, when called upon to go and register, let them go and register. That's number one. Number two, from your end, make sure your machines are there, make sure the people are trained, make sure the people know. And at every station, there must be somebody who takes a decision or supervises others. I think that's where the only way I would allow a fault on them. But that some Ugandans are not interested. Bulambuli.
No, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Chair, I wanted to ask the accounting officer. I have a case here whereby this person applied for the national ID on 23rd April from Bulambuli, 23rd April 2025. The student was admitted on government sponsorship, and one of the requirements was to provide a national ID because it's 21 years. He had applied at school, did not get. For this case, he applied now from Bulambuli and he was enrolled. They sent him to Kololo so that he would be helped to process it faster. The application ID was given to him. I can read it for you. Since this committee is evidence-based, I don't want you to. The application is 124 435 000 8F04. And the names of Nangoli Apollo. Nangoli Apollo. Chair, when you go to Bulambuli, Nangoli is the common name because these are successful people in the community, so it's very common.
Please allow
now,
me pick the last
to date,
the last 000
8F04. That is the application ID. To date, we are now in August. The boy has not what? He reported to Makere actually last week, and they insisted they want the original ID because it's on government sponsorship. Could you give more light on that?
I'll ask my team to send for details of that application ID. We shall resort to it as soon as I get information on it. Change of name. The law requires us to record the names by which a person is known by, whether they are 10 or they are 5 or they are 2. It is part of the identity of the person. So we encourage people to tell us their names, otherwise they will pass off in society as one person and commit crimes under another name.
Okay. This thing of change of name where people have to go and swear did Paul etc. Is there a way you can simplify it, for example? And now I'm asking you as our technical person. For example, other than going through commissioner, then go and gazette, etc. Isn't there a way you can simplify it by providing forms which would be available at sub-county level?
And Chair, I raised the question of change of names. I've received the complaints from mostly the pensioners, these older people. When they went to register, you know, these pensioners, they had names they were using on their official records. Now, when they went to register, unknown to them, that when you give so many names, you are altering your identity. And they were tricked by NIRA officials. Now, they are burdened to look for money to now file for change of names to return to their original names. How were they tricked? The same thing she was mentioning, that the names were known by. For example, Ssegona Aswalide, you will find yourself with Aswalide when it was just a popular name somewhere.
Unless your name is a trick.
Now,
but we just recorded all names.
I think this people who are
the people who are recording.
Wait. The registering person, the official registering.
Yes.
How would he even know
when these people give their names?
The name that you're passing around with?
No, when these people.
Let's not shield our voters into making mistakes.
I'm making a case for these older persons because they are majority are victims.
But if no, even if that old person is old,
someone is called Salongo in a village,
unless
and he finds a near registering Salongo.
That's okay. You have a Salongo here. We have a Salongo Willy Kunya, whose title Salongo is in the passport. That is what he goes by. You remember in your first or second year, the case of Namwandu against Attorney General versus Attorney General. Now, somebody decides to go by the name Namwandu. Okay? So if someone has submitted the name as such, what do you want NIRA to do?
Chair, according to the respondents, they were not well briefed. That we have to use, and we are seeking NIRA going forward to brief the people well.
You need somebody to brief you about your name?
Chair, we are talking on behalf of the people.
I will not speak on behalf of people who do not give their correct names.
Chair, they give their when they are gathering information, they ask them so many questions. There are those names they use. They always give those names, and by which they are known by. Then there are these other past names and others.
No.
When NIRA is gathering information, they don't get this for now. They are burdened now with the challenge of a costly change of names.
I am now guiding that you no longer be heard on this matter.
Chair, you are betraying the people. The people, NIRA must devise means of improving on this communication.
The people have betrayed themselves by submitting wrong names. Nobody will guide you that this is not your name. The only thing I have heard, and which I believe is where somebody tells you, and she has answered it, where somebody tells you those names are too many. If that was the complaint and that these people stopped you from submitting some of your names, I would understand. But somebody chooses to go by some popular name and he does not register it, or he registers it, then along the way he wants to change his name. I mean, you meet the cost. I was dealing with the question of where somebody is called Henry. Then on one land title it is Henry, on the other one it is Enrico. Do you blame land office? I think let's deal with the more serious matters of oversight onto the entity. Honorable Bakablindi.
Nemo ekiri ku Ssegona.
But there's something burning that I wanted to be clarified. Also, I was attending equally other issues. Chair, to go to the point, there is a kid of my relative I was helping. They had registered them from the school. There was an error in the name. I have no problem with that. We went to NIRA, put the correct names, paid the 200. It is now 4 months. Whenever we check that the name is hanging. What do you mean by that term? I have all the details, the pictures here. 4 months down the road, the boy has never got his nanny card. And the answer is, some names are still hanging in the system. What does it mean? Nanny? That is not your contribution. I want to get an answer from NIRA. 4 months. Can I know what is causing that?
In March 2025, the existing cards that we had at that time before we started the mass enrollment exercise, they ran out. So until we started the new exercise, there are people who were caught in the middle. They were caught before, they registered before the exercise started and before we got a new set of cards. We received all our first set of 8.1 million cards at the end of June. And until this financial year, that's when we received money for the additional cards. So it's a case of we ran out of cards, we've applied for new cards, the cards have all come, and we are beginning to distribute them. Thank you.
Chair, I've listened to the excuse, which sounds nice. Madam, can I check on you within a month from now that you got the money?
Yes, sir, you can. Not a month. He can come. I don't know his nearest district. We shall get. They have given us some, like this 134-435-0008F04. We shall consult them and ask them to come to their nearest office. And for some, they may need to do a biometric update to get their iris because the old card didn't have an iris. This one has, and their card will be processed. Thank you.
Okay, we need to close this.